You may be someone with no fears. You might even be someone that laughs in the face of danger. But I bet there's at least a couple words I could say to you that might have you shaking in your boots. You ready? Woke. DEI. Woke video games. Yeah. Are you scared now? Well, don't worry. I mean, I think there's actually a good chance that this trend of woke gaming, woke games, and DEI slop kind of being done. And I think the coattail, the end of that is probably going to be Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is Ubisoft's latest release. Yeah, so today I want to go through the different factors that point me to believe we are nearing the end, and I want to look at the current state of video games, and just as well, honestly, the current state of the gaming community and society, both of which I think are large factors in the downfall of woke games. First, I want to look at the games of this era and see reactions the community had to the collection of games that are considered to be woke and ones that might be considered to be not woke. And due to the nature of this woke discussion, I honestly need to kind of define what is woke or what's not woke, or I think more specifically, when is a game too woke? When is it not a big deal? And I think a good example of this is Spider-Man 2. Coming out on what I'd consider to be the forefront of this woke gaming era, Spider-Man 2 was a huge success with an estimated 11 million copies sold, cementing itself as one of the best-selling PS5 exclusives. But it had its fair share of controversy and what some considered to be woke aspects. One of the largest displays of wokeness I have seen in Spider-Man 2 is the gender neutral Spanish that they had implemented into the game. And without going on my own rant regarding the topic, this was something heavily criticized by the Spanish speaking community. Spider-Man 2 had also a direct quest line for Miles that was helping a college student ask his boyfriend to a school dance. While that might sound like it's not too bad, and I'm not going to kill here and say that every homosexual relationship added in a game is considered woke, it's also hard not to believe that this was a factor for that, considering all of the other additions that Spider-Man 2 had. Things like gay pride flags and things painted along buildings. And not that that's not realistic. I'm pretty sure I could probably go through New York and find the same thing, but still, we know their intentions. Despite its controversies, though, Spider-Man 2 still topped charts in sales and got amazing reviews. So, why is that? I think it's because Spider-Man 2 had some of the best feeling gameplay and some of the most well-written stories that I've engaged in recently. The story is also, as far as I know, an original story. I mean, Harry becoming Venom, with in the background you have this looming threat of Kraven getting bigger and bigger, and Kraven trying to find a way to die honorably. It was honestly all just really, really cool, and it was really well written. And it ultimately was a good game, and I think that's kind of just the thing: is was the game good, despite all of the stuff that they did, despite any wokeness added or any DEI initiatives that they put into the game? Was it good? Was it fun to play? And with Spider-Man 2, it was. And so the gaming community kind of tended to ignore a lot of those things. And it still is a great game. And this isn't an excuse for the problem, or it doesn't excuse the problem, and it doesn't give a pass to developers to kind of go crazy on their woke additions, but that kind of is what developers have been doing. And recently, we have seen games come out with blatant woke and or political additions to the game. Why is it that these games feel as though activists dropped the picket signs, picked up Unreal Engine 5? What happened to the sentiment of gamers making games for gamers? Nowadays, what we have is activists making games for journalists who are writing stories for activists. When we look more recently at some of the more popular games, they were games that didn't care about ensuring their cast of characters was diverse enough or gay enough. The characters, gameplay, and stories stood on their own feet. Games like Helldivers 2 or Baldur's Gate 3 are both examples of how a game can simply just be fun and people are going to show up. What's kind of crazy is with something like Baldur's Gate 3, it's that it had options for same-sex relationships, and it honestly, I mean, it had bestiality in the game, and that was just natural. It was something that they added in because that was a natural aspect of Dungeons and Dragons. They didn't have to worry about anything, and they didn't try to market it fully that way. They did one clip that did go viral of a bear. That's all what I'll say, but other than that, they didn't feel a need to market the game as diverse. What was diverse was the ability to choose how you wanted to kill the town that you were walking into, I guess. That was fun. Can I just say, like, whenever I hear a trailer or a devlog say that they have a diverse set of characters, kind of check out. That's kind of it for me. And I don't think that I'm the only one who feels that way. And it's kind of a shame because there's a lot of games that I probably would enjoy despite their woke aspects, but I'm not going to play in the first place. And I kind of started to pick up on that. I started to realize that. I started to look at games a little bit more objectively and look past the additions of their woke additives. And some of them look good. I think the most recent example I have of this is a game South of Midnight. And it's had its fair share of controversies all across the board. Ultimately, I mean, it might be a very woke game. I don't know. And it's not out yet. And we're going to find out. But can I just say, I was looking at the trailer and I was watching it, and it honestly actually looks pretty fun. It looks like something I'm kind of want to play. And I'm probably going to play it. But it had its huge controversies with Sweet Baby and all that kind of stuff. And I know I said it, don't be too scared now that I said Sweet Baby, but oh, there's a second time. Sorry about that. Either way, I do plan on making a video about South of Midnight specifically. So if you want to catch that one, subscribe, check it out. But ultimately, with all of this negativity, you might be asking why I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is actually going to be the end of it. And I think there's a couple of different factors that go into that. People are now so exhausted with the woke games idea that they're now calling it out. The gaming community has done a decent job of putting their money where their mouth is and just simply not buying the games. We are seeing huge IPs fail because gamers are tired of being treated like idiots. We're tired of being told we are racist or homophobic or whatever it would be just because we think that a game that happens to have a black character in it isn't that good. And for the majority of the gaming community, it's obviously not about the characters and their races or their sexual orientation. We're beginning to realize that developers are putting more time in trying to make their characters diverse instead of putting that time into making sure the game is fun to play and feels good to play. And the next thing is, I know it's a stretch, but simply put, I believe the most recent election in the US is kind of proof that people are tired of agendas being interwoven into everything of life. And this goes across all agendas. The election is a so-called doorway for even more people to feel comfortable speaking out against overall DEI initiatives and woke agendas. And this comes on a back end of what I think is a lot of content creators also feeling more and more comfortable with speaking out against these things as well. I mean, we've already seen many companies outside of the video game space getting rid of their DEI initiatives, and I believe the games industry is going to follow suit. These developers ultimately want revenue. They care about their profit, and in order to get that profit, it's been abundantly clear that they may need to actually make a good game. And dare I say it, activists don't seem to make very good games. I think the overall idea is simple. Assassin's Creed Shadows will most likely not hit their sale numbers, and Ubisoft will suffer greatly, much like many other game studios that we've seen. Investors and executives are hopefully beginning to look around and see these other studios failing and losing money, and which means they're going to get tired of it real quick. More failed games means less cost on sports cars and yachts, and they're not having that. This might actually cause them to shift their focus and hire people that can actually make good games. I mean, ultimately, only time will tell, but I think that's going to be the case. Either way, that's it for me. If you like the video and want to check out more, just go ahead and like the video, hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for doing so, and we'll catch you in the next one. Do big things. Peace.